Well, it's Sunday night, and I am happily ensconced in my room. I've had a full day today. The morning started off really cloudy, kind of chilly, a little bit gloomy, and then the sun came out, and the day was beautiful, and things were lovely in New Orleans as they are in the spring. And I think that kind of, for me, the weather today kind of mirrored my mood and my thoughts. I think I woke up this morning really anxious. I had a fitful sleep last night. I woke up in the middle of the night and was up for about an hour, just kind of trying to recenter myself. I had a lot of worries and just didn't feel comfortable last night. And I think it's all the illness going on. I think having started yesterday morning reading about young people who were dying and all these dire things, I made that decision, like I said yesterday, to not read those things anymore. I already know the illness is, deadly. I don't need any more alarm. I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to be doing. So for my own mental health, I made that decision, but it really had an impact on me still last night as I slept. And so this morning I woke up maybe not as well rested as I wanted to be. I was hoping to get up earlier, but I allowed myself to sleep a little later because of my bad night. And so I got off to a little bit of a later start than I wanted. And so that kind of set the tone for my morning. And I just woke up feeling anxious, talking with a friend, trying to kind of bring myself back to some sort of normalcy. After doing some worky work this morning, she and I, the same friend who we call ourselves our quarantine buddies, she lives near me, and for this whole time, we've both been extremely vigilant about disinfecting and really keeping ourselves contained. But she and I have been walking buddies pretty much this whole time. And so we took a walk today. We walked over to Whole Foods to get a few groceries. And that was about a 3.5 mile walk for us. And it's just as soon as I walked outside my door, the sun kind of came out. And walking with my friend just changed everything for me. I just was able to kind of move my body, feeling grounded, feeling purposeful, seeing other people, even if everybody's keeping a distance from each other, just being able to get out and do something that felt kind of normal and good was great. And I came home and I've been doing these porch sits at my house. I have a big front porch. And I have been, a few times now, I've had friends over, only one at a time. And I have this little setup on my front porch where if I have a friend over, we're sitting 6 feet apart from each other. And we have wine or whatever it may be, and then cheese. And each person has their own cheese knife. And the guest doesn't go in my house. They just come over and I bring everything out and we sit on the porch and we talk and we have a little wine and cheese. And that was wonderful. So that was a different friend. At the end of my walk, another friend came over and we sat on the porch and we talked and just kind of caught up with each other's lives. We hadn't seen each other in a while. And that was really reinforcing. And after she left, I just sat and did some work and just stood on, just not stood. I was on my front porch swing and I did some work I needed to do, tried to get myself kind of oriented for the week ahead. And this evening, I did a yoga class online. My friend Karina Pivik, my favorite yoga instructor, I did one of her online Facebook Live yoga sessions. And then as I was going upstairs to get a shower, I was listening to, there's a DJ, D Nice, who has been doing all these great Instagram lives with kind of old school music mixes just for fun. And I'm telling you that right now I feel good. I feel happy. and it's a good lesson to me that a day can turn around. I think the theme that I've been kind of working on today, if I have one, and this was kind of the topic of some of the conversation I had during my walk today with my friend, is the idea of acceptance. Trying to come to some sense of acceptance that our lives are very different now. An acceptance that we don't have all the answers. There's so much information out there. There's just too much information. And just accepting or trying to get to a place where I, speaking for myself, feel like I can just accept that this is the way things are going to be for a while. I'm going to accept that I don't know what's going to happen with my work. Will I have enough clients? Will I be able to keep going in this way that I have been under these circumstances? Not knowing, am I going to get sick with this illness? Is somebody I love going to get sick with this illness? Accepting all the things, accepting that I'm going to be in my house, my home, pretty much around the clock, except for my little walk outings. And it feels like I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And so I had another friend who messaged me today that she was really under a lot of stress and trying to understand what's happening and just try to get a grip. And I sent her the Serenity chant, the Serenity prayer, the Serenity poem, however you want to look at it. And I think that was what she needed to see at that time. And I was reminded about the power of those simple lines. And that's what the Serenity prayer is all about. It's all about coming to acceptance and knowing that we just don't have control over so many things in our lives, but we do have control over certain things. We have control over the choices that we make in terms of what we do with our bodies. We have control over how we look at our circumstances, how we think about them, to some degree, how we feel about them. The great thinker and existentialist Viktor Frankl, that was his big lesson, that we have a choice over how we view what's happening in our lives. And that choice that we make to find meaning, even in the worst of circumstances, is what can make the difference between being okay with the things that you can't control or falling apart with the things you can't control. And I'm trying very hard to accept that there are so many things right now that I cannot control, and to get to just an acceptance of my life right now as it is, whatever that is. So that's how I'm going to bed tonight. I'm really hoping that tonight will be a better sleep because of the day that I've had and the fact that I moved my body, but I also did some yoga, which made me feel kind of centered and grounded tonight. I had some time with friends, even if it was safe distance time, one at a time. I feel like that's a good way to end this weekend. The mind-body practice that I'm going to do tonight is simply going to, for my own sake, I am going to actually just breathe and say out loud the Serenity prayer. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm not sure if I'm going to stand or I'm going to sit. I don't really know. But that's going to be my practice tonight. And I am going to, I know this prayer by heart, but of course when I'm on video, I'm going to forget it. So I have it in front of me, and I'm just going to read it. And it starts out, and I change it because I'm not a religious person. I'm not a Christian. I do have some spiritual side to me, but the way I say it is, may I have the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. People who are religious or believe in a higher power, or Christian, would start that out, God grant me the serenity. I just say, may I find, or may I have the serenity. So, to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Powerful medicine. that is the mind-body practice I'm going to do tonight. And I will probably do it sitting, and I may have my hands on my heart, or I may just have them in my lap. But the first time I ever really experienced that prayer, that chant, that poem, was my earliest days as a social worker when I was working with veterans for the first time in a program for veterans with serious mental health issues. And after the morning group that we did at the beginning of the day for them, they would come in for the first half of the day. We called it a day program. And we would just stand around in a circle and hold hands, the veterans in this program and me and anybody else who happened to be there. We would hold hands and we would just say that. This prayer is associated with recovery programs from addiction, and it's associated with maintaining sobriety, but it's this group that I attended as a 26-year-old social worker. I was not a recovery group, but it was just it was a way to end that session every day, and it was so powerful, and I've loved it ever since. So that's my practice. And one more thing, the song I'm going to add to my Spotify playlist and to my YouTube playlist, if anybody happens to watch this video and wants to join in on the Spotify playlist or follow it, the link for that is in my Instagram bio, which is day12020. The song I'm going to add is simple. It's Let It Be by the Beatles. One of the dear friends that I was referring to recently, who was going through some hard times, played this song for me one day, and I've never forgotten it. And it's a special song to me. It always has been. I listened to the Beatles growing up as a child, all throughout my childhood. And this song, Let It Be, just seems to be appropriate for what we're dealing with right now and for the idea of acceptance and trying to find some serenity in our current circumstances. So that's what I'm going to add to my playlist.